What is going on, everybody? There has not been a video in a couple weeks, more like a month, and this is the video where I explain that. But first things first, I got some shirts for sale up on my Shopify. If you haven't seen on Instagram or Facebook, my dog Princess was shot by my neighbor, and we're trying to pay off some of these vet bills, and we also had to move in 7 days, so that sucked. But now we're at a new house, and I'm going to tell you guys what's going on this last month. Link is in the description for those shirts. But basically, 2 weeks before Gridlife, I got told that I had an opportunity to put a new motor in this car. The old one was pretty weathered and beat up. And so 2 weeks, 14, or maybe it was 16 days, to have a motor built somewhere, shipped to me, all the other parts shipped in, the motor swapped into the car, and then the motor tuned, and the car ready for Gridlife. So I pretty much didn't film any vlogs during that time because it was so stressful trying to get it done. But Nate Hamilton put me on with Golan Engine Service, and they built me an LS. The LS is a 6-liter LQ9 block with some 317 heads that are milled down and ported. 11:7:1 compression. It's got a Holley sheet metal manifold, a 92mm throttle body. And then we drop that in with all the ISR swap components. So the adapter plate, their headers, their engine mounts, trans cross member, the shifter, wiring specialties supplied a harness, plug and play with the 350Z can system, so all my stock gauges work, and tied in with the chassis harness, so all my lights work. It worked really, really great. And then that is plugged into a Link Storm ECU, tuned by Jason from Link or Jason from PSI. Tune that at Kentucky speed. So yeah, 2 weeks. It was stressful. I mean, Injuku got me so many parts overnighted, fittings. They got me a radiator. We did some radium components for the fuel system. Their surge tank setup. So it's out of tank surge tank. The stock pump fills that surge tank. That surge tank has a pump that feeds the engine, and then it returns back to the surge tank and then into the tank. So we get the car done, and we go to the dyno. It made 560 on the engine dyno and 454 on the car dyno, well, in the car, on pump gas. So right away it's the day before we're leaving for Gridlife, and I can't get the car to stay cool. And I went cheap. I got these really cheap Mishimoto fans, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for doing that. It was so stupid. They don't work to cool this thing. I mean, maybe for like an SR or KA or something, but they don't work for this. And so we're battling that. We're battling intake air temps, and but we get a good tune on it, and I'm like, fuck it, load it up, let's go to Atlanta. So we leave for Atlanta. We get there, we meet up with the Accelera and Tire Streets family, and Nate Hamilton, Bagsy, the girls from Accelera. They have a booth set up. Those guys have their crazy fucking FD cars, and I've got this thing. Fucking, you know, pretty minimal build compared to those guys. Their cars made like 800. I think they both make around 800 horsepower. So, haven't driven the car at all with the LS in it. So they're like, all right, let's go out on track. So I go out. Instantly the car is cutting out, and I can't figure out why while I'm on track. So I get back to the pits, realize I routed the fuel lines wrong. Instead of returning it to the surge tank and then the surge tank overfilling into the stock tank, I ran it straight to the stock tank. Stupid me. I fixed that. That got rid of that issue. still having overheating issues, and we did all weekend. But as the weather cooled down throughout the weekend, the car ran better. We got some tandems in. Still have an eyeball alignment on this thing, and I mean, it ran all weekend, which is pretty impressive, I guess, with the time that I had. Oh, also, you can see from these clips that we built this thing in a garage that's barely as wide as the car, and with, like, minimal light. I'm very grateful for having a place to do it at my buddy John's house. He was able to help me quite a bit with the swap and just have an extra set of hands around. He's pretty mechanically inclined, so he was able to help out a lot and give us a place to do it. But definitely not what I'm used to. So it was tough. It was very tough, very tough. But yeah, I mean, overall, the car worked. Oh, one more thing. In the 2 weeks that we had to get this car done, it had to get a roll cage put in it. So, so my buddy Dan up in Ohio got this roll cage done in 4 days. So I drove to Columbus, dropped the car off, came home in 4 days, told me it was done. I drove back to Columbus, worked on the car, drove through the night to get home so I could get to work. And yeah, he got the cage done. So I just wanted to give you guys a little walk around since we haven't talked, and I haven't really talked about the car at all. So you got to see a little bit of the clips from us building it and driving it at Gridlife, but this is where it stands right now. Still rocking the GK Tech angle kit. Still got the BC shocks. Now that I have more power, I'm able to run the 651 Sport Accelera tire. That's rocking a 235/40 18 up front and a 265/35 18 in the rear. These Koenigs look great. Don't plan on swapping those out anytime soon. The cage hasn't been painted. We had no time. I was actually going to start that today, and then I decided to make this video. That's primer. But yeah, the cage is pretty dope. Here's our surge tank setup. It's definitely going to get cleaned up. The sound deadening, we didn't even rip the sound deadening out, only in the places where the cage needed to be welded. But it worked, and we got it done in time. It passed tech flawlessly, let me add. Some door bars, intrusion bars. Everything else is pretty much the same you've seen in here, at least. And then I guess probably want to see this thing. Lots of things that need to be fixed on this before our next drift event. But here's the engine. Huge shout out to Golan for making this happen. And by the way, Golan built this engine in, I think it was 4 days, and then they one-dayed it to me. They're up in New Hampshire, so I got the engine in like 1 day. I think it was a week total. Yeah, they fucking killed it. Coil rad in there. Coil oil cooler using the ISR -10 fittings. See the little ISR logo there. There's our BC shocks in there. GK Tech angle kit. ISR adapter plate, stock trans. Put the shifter right back in the stock location. It's such an awesome kit. I've used it on 2 cars now. But yeah, let's talk about some of the things that I want to change. The battery is going to the back of the car, and in that place will be a coolant expansion tank. Right now I have this ran for the steam ports. That's no good. Don't do that. That will just cause air in your system. These little tiny fans gotta go. So we're gonna get rid of those. And then, I guess that's pretty much it up here. Oh, also, new valve covers. We're gonna weld -10 bungs on it. I didn't do that because I didn't have time, so we just like rigged up this crankcase ventilation system to our catch can here. Shout out Jeff Donati for the catch can. But yeah, it all kind of worked and fell together. The main things right now is we're going to add a digital dash, and we're going to add the new fans, and that's pretty much it before the next event. I think the next event I'm going to go to is in Bristol, Tennessee. One of the videos coming up in the very near future is a comparison/review video on the Accelera PHI tire versus the 651 Sport, and how they drive with different horsepower, and how they drive under certain conditions, and the life of the tire. We're going to talk about all that, and sizes. We're going to talk about sizes as well. So I'm excited to do that here very, very soon, and hopefully get back on my grind of making videos. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.